Hello there! My name is Michael and I'm on a mission to rescue, restore and rebuild and return to full working order this 100-year-old Wurlitzer band organ. The case is already done. Today we're going to be installing some pipes and I shall be using the wind bellows on this one to produce the wind, which I will use in a small jig to test the, to tune the pipes. So welcome to my workshop, otherwise known by my wife as the dining room. So today we've got pipes and tuning and other good stuff to do, so follow along. So in the last episode I mentioned that we seem to be getting a lot of new subscribers. Well, I just checked and we're up to 750. That's pretty amazing. This is such a niche subject. Anyway, if so many people are watching, I really need to up my game. So I'm going to get myself a new camera and a new microphone, and hopefully I can do a little bit of a better job with the quality of some of these videos. In order to help me get this camera and microphone, I've set up a Buy Me a Coffee site. Buy Me a Coffee, the link is in the description. So please, if you feel like you want to help me, support me, get this organ up and running again, buy me a coffee, link in the description. Okay, thanks very much. Oh, the other thing is that I don't want to sign up for adverts. I don't want you all to have to wade through adverts before you get to the good stuff. So that's why I'm going to go for the buy me a coffee. Okay, cheers, bye. Now the first thing I have to do is dismantle this completely, so that I can get to the underneath where we're going to install the pipes. Now I can't do this on my own, so I'm going to have to enlist the help of my lovely wife. So as soon as she's finished having breakfast, I'll get her in here and we'll dismantle this and get it set up ready for installing the pipes.
Well, I've made a few adjustments to this organ from the original. I've made it easy to put together, easy to take to pieces. For tuning pipes and repairing things, it's essential that you can easily take this to pieces and put it back together. One of the things I've noticed with these older organs is the biggest issue is all the screw holes are worn out, the screws are worn out, so I'm actually going to put in threaded inserts and use little bolts and try and make it even more convenient to dismantle and put together. You'll see how we're turning everything upside down so we can get to the bottom of it. Very inconvenient to put the pipes in if you've got the organ up the correct way. I don't know anyone who would even try to do that. Now, there's a very strange quirk about these band organs when you're tuning the pipes. They have to be tuned one whole note lower. Don't ask me why, I haven't really found a good reason for it, but I'll explain that a bit later.
Well, the pipes seem to have enough room in there, sideways, but there are a couple of considerations. These pipes, once they're tuned, these stoppers won't come up quite so far, but if you see, this is where the truck goes underneath, and I have to make sure that there's a gap big enough, otherwise we can put some spaces on each of the corners, make some decorative parts, but the important thing is that this doesn't get hit by the trolley when it comes. The other thing is I need to do some work before I can actually glue the pipes in. Let me show you. Now this I needed to make sure I didn't go too far outside to have a conflict with when this goes on. Now if you look here, these pipes have got the holes here, so these need to come right up to the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack a piece of wood on there, like a stop, that these can all just butt up against.
Just going to pop into the workshop and find a piece of timber that I can use for this positive stop. Oh, there's a piece that fits perfectly. You'd think I'd arranged that in advance. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Anyway, I'm going to drill a couple of holes. There you see the cleanse again. I refer to them all the time. Can't afford to get anything wrong at this stage. I'm being very careful not to put screws into where the wind channels are. That would be a mistake. There'd be a permanent leak then, wouldn't there? That wouldn't be good. Positive stop on here so that I know exactly how far out I need to place these pipes so they don't come over and interfere with the case when it goes back on top. Now, the pipes are glued in on little bits of leather. You can see it's drawn here. There's no measurements, so I just have to make up my own. But basically there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of leather, plus I need to put a gasket all the way down here with holes cut out to let the air through. So working on the leather for gluing the pipes in is the next thing. Well, here I'm marking where I need to put the leather. There are several pieces of leather. There are no actual dimensions marked anywhere on these drawings, so you have to work out what the intention is, what the leather's for, where it needs to be. And then here I've made a few marks, and I'm now going to mask it all out with blue carpenter's tape. Now I'm going to use hot hide glue, of course, so that it can be easily taken to pieces in the future for restoration, etc. So what I'm doing is I'm masking off so that I don't get the hot glue where I don't need it. This, the biggest pipe, it has 3 points of contact. It's not precise per se, but it has to be correct. You can see I've got them all marked out now. I'm just double checking that they all would that they're all in the right place. And one last double check before I start the actual gluing, which was a good job because I got too mixed up. Double checking all the time. And remember, there are 3 different ranks of pipes that are all mixed up in there, so you have to be extra careful. Here I'm gluing in little bits of leather. I cut them to size, and then I put the leather down and run over it with a roller to try and get it to be nice and flat. And of course take off the masking tape. It doesn't take forever, but it is very fiddly work. And before we know it, we're done. See the jig that I've made up? It's got a couple of different tops so that I can have different pipe feet or different pipes. I have to be very careful here because each of these pipes, for example, if it's a C, it has to be tuned 2 notes lower. And it confused me a bit. It's 2 notes, it means 2 semitones. So sometimes a note will be a flat or a sharp when it's not marked as that. It's complicated. It took me a while to understand the theory behind it. This is the largest pipe. Once that's on there, we can just pump up the air and tune it. Now, I spent a whole afternoon messing around with these. I also found out that I'd been using my tuner incorrectly. I hadn't quite worked out what the sharps and flats were registering as on the little unit. So it finally made sense. But it does mean I have to go back and redo mine because I got 2 or 3 notes which I thought were completely out of tune, even though I thought I'd tuned them correctly. Turns out I'd only take them a half a tone down rather than 2 half tones on a couple of them. So that'll, wow, look at that engine going in the background. That'll wear out quickly. So as I tune the pipes, I move them over to the where they're going to be glued in. Now I'm gluing in the big one. I'm heating up the felt pads. I want to make sure, because there's 3 of them and it takes a while to put the glue on and everything, I want to make sure that it doesn't instantly congeal. I want to be able to get it to still be liquid enough when I put them on there I'm checking everything very carefully. Getting this first one in is very important, then the rest will be a lot easier. I found some weights. They were at a garage sale and I thought, oh, I could use those. I didn't intend to use them as weights in carpentry, but I never got round to using them as they were intended to either, so I just had to have them hanging out in the garage waiting for me to find a use for them. There you see the holes that are cut in that leather. That's the gasket between the pipes and the board, which is the channel board, I believe it's called. And I slowly worked through these pipes one at a time until they were all finished. They don't look too bad. The thing is, no one's ever going to see these. These are going to be hidden underneath. Even if you're laying on the ground, you can barely see them. I know, I tried. So now we're going to put the base on to make sure it fits around all the pipes. And that kind of fits perfectly. Now when I put the truck on, we turn it up and over, it's got a solid bottom, and I want to make sure that it doesn't actually come in contact with the pipes that hang down a bit, so we're being very careful here. I did have plans to make some decorative pieces to increase the depth there, but it looks like we won't have to. It fit perfectly. I was very pleased with that. So now I can just screw the bottom onto the base. 2 screws at each corner. And then we can turn it back up the right way. And again, got my apprentice to help me. She's a good sport, an absolute keeper. 30 years we've been together. And I still get to use the dining room for a workshop. And time to put it all back together. This shows you how with 2 people it can be quite easy. Put the drum wings on. They're designed so they can clip on very, very easily. And there we are. It's all back together. Okay, well thanks for joining me for this week's video. I'm sure you'll agree we've got a lot done. We've got all those pipes in and they appear to be working fine. I had to adjust a couple of them after we initially glued them in. But that's all for this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week.